What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Hamilton Trained Podcast. If you are new here, welcome to the show. My name is Jared Hamilton, and man, am I stoked for you to be here. I just appreciate the fact that you're here on my channel out of all places on the internet. So thank you for that. Now, today's episode is a doozy. Okay, we're going to get into a lot of dope stuff, and because I know this episode is going to take, like, from the time I'm recording it, a big announcement is going to be dropped. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about that as well at the end of this episode. So you're going to want to get through the entire episode, and then you're going to want to take a super advantage and jump on the massive thing I'm dropping. So, but again, I will drop the big news at the end of the episode, but stick around for the whole thing because the content in here is still fire. So, so whether you're listening to the audio on like iTunes or Spotify, or whether you are watching it on YouTube, subtle plug, all my new episodes of the podcast are now on the full length or are on YouTube. If you like to watch your podcast instead of just listen to them, that's available. So I'll leave links in the description. But before we get into all the goodies, we need to give a big shout out and thank you to the sponsors of the show. Number one, you guys know I talk about it a lot. Flex Pro Meals is been with me the longest, and they are an absolutely amazing sponsor of myself and the show, especially during crazy times like lately. Like, things have been nuts. I've been traveling a lot. Things have been all over the place, super busy. Business has been awesome. So like, I've been doing a lot of work, a lot of late nights. And with that being said, because my schedule is unpredictable like that, it has made it super convenient to still keep in line with my goals, because FlexPro keeps my fridge stocked with meals that are right in where I want them calorically, and like from a protein standpoint. They're made by a chef. They taste awesome, and they're convenient as fuck. Just because my life is very crazy and unpredictable sometimes, so I always like to have my fridge stocked in case I can't make my food, and it keeps me out of drive-thrus essentially. So, in this way also, like if that's your thing too, is like your schedule's nuts, it's also going to save you a lot of money compared to going through a drive-thru every day. So definitely check them out. If you end up buying anything, you'll definitely want to use my code Hamilton Trained, because it'll, number one, support your boy, but then number two, it'll also save you 20% at checkout. But just go to flexpromeals.com, or all the links are in the description. But then big thank you number two to the other sponsor of the show, which is 1st Phorm. And you can see a little bit right up here, my 1st Phorm shelf, if you're watching the video. Guys, in the world of supplements, we all know that supplements aren't a make or break thing. They are not, you don't want to overhype them, but there is absolutely a time and a place for proper supplementation. So I happen to have a sponsor of them that's the best in the industry. I work with 1st Phorm. I'm one of their athletes, and the 1st Phorm is a game changer. In the world of supplements, you will not find any better. Everything from like who they are, what they stand for, the quality of the products, the quality of the service that goes deeper. I mean, you can't get any better. And that's why I take all 1st Phorm supplements. So I'll leave their link in the description below, firstphorm.com. But like I said, I'll leave all the links down in the description. That way you don't get lost or anything like that. But otherwise, let's get into the content for today. So in today's episode, we are talking about your reticular activating system and weight loss. Now, you might be listening to this and you might be like, I don't know what that is, which is totally fine. But we're going to talk about how this is such a pivotal thing. Most people are totally oblivious to this concept, where how big of a role your RAS plays when it comes to your weight loss, and any goal for that matter. But we're talking about weight loss and achievement. Well, it's one of those things where most people either, this is one of the reasons most people don't succeed, or why people sabotage, or why most people might have progress right in front of them, but they just don't see it. Right? I mean, think about in your case, how many times are you going through this journey of all of this stuff, like with weight loss and your goals, but whenever you want to make a bad decision, whenever you're getting emotional, whenever you want to quit, whenever you want to say fuck it, and whenever you want to throw in the towel, it's always when you feel like you're not making progress. Very rarely are you like crushing it and you want to quit. But the hard truth is, I see so many people every single day that are experiencing progress. They just don't see it because their mind is shut off to the idea of certain levels of progress. Well, it's not like by chance that's happening. There's a specific reason. It's because of your reticular activating system. So we're going to talk about it. So what is your reticular activating system? Okay. To put simply, it basically is your filter on life. That's what RAS stands for, is reticular activating system. It is basically chilling right down by your brainstem. Okay. Some people argue it's part of your unconscious mind. It plays a few pivotal roles. And it's one of those things where if this is not in check, this will change your entire life. So like the majority of people watching this are probably going to be like, okay, that sounds airy fairy and kooky, and that's fine. You don't have to watch it, but or listen to this or implement it. But for those of you that are, your life will never be the same, and your progress and results will never be the same. Because basically, it's an actual thing part in your brain. It's right by your brain stem. It's really small. If you Google reticular activating system, I don't know if you're watching the YouTube video, I'll probably throw a graphic up of like what it actually looks like. So. But you have to understand that your RAS is responsible for your filter on life. Think about it. Think about all the stuff in your day-to-day that is just crazy. That is like all the stuff going on, brand names, colors, cars, people saying and doing things. Like we are bombarded. And if you were made aware of every single piece of data in front of you, you would go insane. So your RAS is responsible for your filter on life that keeps you sane. Okay. So before we get into the weight loss side, let's talk about ways outside of weight loss your RAS works for you. Okay. My favorite example is whenever you bought a car. So my own example. So I used to drive a little black Chevy Cruze. Okay. Just a normal car. Well, because I drove it, I saw them everywhere. Everyone and their brother had a Chevy Cruze, right? Well, I decided I want a car that I've been wanting. I was going to get one of the cars I've been wanting for a long time. I wanted to get a Camaro. So I basically traded in my Chevy Cruze and I upgraded to a Camaro. I have a white Camaro. Well, all of a sudden, I don't see Chevy Cruzes ever, but now it's like I just see Camaros and sports cars everywhere I go. I see so many Camaros, but now I also see Mustangs, I see Challengers, I see a lot of Chargers, but more than anything, it's like everybody has a Camaro. But you and I both know, like, no one it's not that there's any more or less Camaros or Chevy Cruzes on the road. It's what happened is I am now more aware and it's in my awareness and it's important to me. So now I see that everywhere I go. You've probably experienced the same thing. You sold the truck and got a minivan. You sold the minivan and got a truck. And now all of a sudden you see that stuff everywhere. You see that the car you drive everywhere and you don't see the car that you used to drive anymore. Okay. Next, another analogy I like is money. Think of it this way. If you go on a walk or if you're doing anything, going into a grocery store, what have you, we walk past thousands of pieces of trash on the ground and don't think anything of it. But we can see money on the ground. It could be like crumbled up. It could be a dollar bill crumbled, ripped in half, stuffed halfway into a beer can. And for some reason, and it's also like halfway down an alley behind a dumpster and you're just like, oh, there's $1. Right? Somehow you didn't notice the wadded up trash on the ground, but for some reason your brain goes, hey, there's money. Well, it's because money's important to us, right? It's a big thing in our awareness. So all of a sudden your RAS picks up like, hey, that's money. Don't worry about the trash, right? You walk past trash, you don't think about it, but you don't walk past very much money. All right. Another example I like to give is when you're watching your kid at an event. If you have a kid, niece, nephew, or a child, sorry if you can hear my phone going off. This is a big one. How many times do you see just like them at their soccer game or that their play or whatever? It's like you forget everything else. Like you didn't see little Timmy break his leg or something happen. You've been watching your kid. It's like there's a filter on your kid wherever they're at. It's the same thing. Or here's my last one for this. You ever watched a horror movie and then all of a sudden after the horror movie is over, it's like all the lights in your house flicker or all the floors in your ground creak really loud. It's like, oh no, something's wrong. I never noticed this before. It's not that your life is different. It's just now part of your awareness because your reticular activating system has been stimulated for that. Isn't that interesting? So here's the thing though. Your reticular activating system not only shows you what's most important to you, but it blocks out what isn't. This is a big deal. Think about it. Your RAS doesn't just show you like what's important to you, but it hides what's not. So money's important to you, so it shows it to you, but it hides trash from you. You don't see nearly the trash on the ground because your RAS hides it from you. Okay, this is where it gets really important when it comes to the goals that you have around weight loss. So here's what you have to understand though. Your RAS is a weapon. It just shoots whatever you point it at, good or bad. Your RAS, I always say it's like a gun. A gun does not have morality, right? A firearm. Like you can be a good guy shooting a bad guy, or you can be a bad guy shooting a good guy. The gun just goes bang. The gun doesn't care what it points at, right? It just goes bang. Well, Your RAS is no different. Your RAS just goes bang. Your RAS doesn't care if what you're aiming it at is serving you or is helping you or is hurting you. Your RAS just goes, okay, whatever you want, master, bang. So this is why it's a pivotal thing. If you've been using your RAS wrong, this is going to be a game changer for you. Okay. So let's get into why it applies for weight loss. This is a big deal. We're going to get into exactly why it applies for weight loss. So first and foremost, you may very well right now be experiencing progress, but your RAS isn't showing it to you for a few reasons. I mean, think about it. Think about you listening to this right now or watching this. You may be, I think about it. If you're not making progress, are you pissed? If you're not making progress, are you upset? Are you like, how are you feeling? Is it making you want to throw in the towel? Imagine this though. Imagine all that frustration, but imagine if you're making killer progress, but you're like, no, I don't see or feel anything. My weight's up, like everything. But what if I said, oh no, you're making stupid amounts of progress? Well, that's probably what's going on, because here's the thing. The reason you may be experiencing progress, but your RAS isn't showing you, is because of a few things. Number one, you're probably hyperfixating on the negative. Think about that. You're probably hyperfixating on the one or two things you don't like, and now your RAS just leans that way. Because again, your RAS just shows you what's most important to you. I always compare your RAS to like the algorithm on social media, right? So think about if you go on Instagram or on TikTok, the videos you watch the most amount of watch time of, the content you engage with, you like, you comment, you save, Instagram and TikTok is just going to naturally show that in your feed more. Right? Just because they go, oh, they really like this stuff, so I'm going to show it more to them. They don't care whether it's my videos, my friends' videos, cat videos, workout videos, watch videos, tattoo videos, whatever content, it doesn't matter. Instagram doesn't care. They just go, we're just going to show them more of what they like. That's your RAS is the same thing. So when you're hyperfixating on the negative, you might be like, the one I hear a lot is people go, your hairdresser's like, oh my gosh, you must be losing so much weight. And you go, but your weight's up. And you go, well, my scale was up this morning, so I know I haven't lost anything. But it's like they literally noticed your face was thinning out, and that's why they said something. But you go, well, I haven't lost any weight though, right? Or people, I see this one all the time. We'll have clients that'll go, I'll be like, girl, you're crushing it, dude. You're crushing it. You're down like 3 inches off your stomach, and they go, yeah, but my weight's not down. I'm still like my weight is spiked today. It's like, wait a second. One, we're taking that out of context, but number two, like the main thing is the main thing. You are losing body fat, right? But this is the problem. You have all these things happening, but you still hyperfixate on the negative. You still see how much left you have. That was the next one on my list. Is all you do is think about how much you have left to lose. You're not grateful for the 3 pounds you're down or the 1/4 of an inch you're down. All you think about is like, well, I still have 100 pounds to lose. Well, I'm still fat. Well, none of my clothes still fit. Well, it's like, hang on, but you're disregarding what's in front of you right now. You see what I mean? A lot of people, another reason for this is a lot of people deny small elements of progress. Okay, I have a list on that here in a minute. All you see is lack, right? All you see is what you hate about yourself or what's not serving you. And that's the problem. You could literally have like everything going well, but then it's because of a couple things that you don't like. Then you're like, well, but this is the case. And you show more attention to that. So it's no wonder your RAS goes, okay, I guess this is what they want to see, and it will hide progress from you. You see what I mean? So here's the thing, the secret. Once you start highlighting and showing attention to your wins, your RAS will show you more. This is what's crazy. Because you might be like, okay, Jared, I get it, but how do I get my brain to show me more wins? It's simple. It's the same thing. Your RAS doesn't care what you aim it at. So if all you do is be a negative fuck and you're thinking about how much weight you have left to lose or how slow weight loss is or how unmotivated you are or how much this sucks or how much your clothes still don't fit even though you're doing the right stuff. Well, that's just being honestly like a negative victim and you're just being cynical. So why don't we start highlighting our wins? Be like, well, at least I showed up for myself today. Or, hey, my super tight clothes are a little less super tight. Or, you know what? I normally would have binged by now and I haven't. Whatever the win is, it doesn't matter how small. All you have to do is start highlighting and showing attention to your wins, and your RAS will start to show you more. Okay. So because imagine this, let me paint this picture for you. Imagine going through this weight loss journey, but all you see is progress, where all you feel is the changes, where all you experience is wins. I promise you wouldn't be quitting anytime soon. Think about it. That would be like your boss at work cutting your hours in half, doubling your pay, giving you every benefit you could ask for, and then you trying to quit. Like, that's not going to happen. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to leave this job. It's the same thing here. If all you do is through your entire journey, just crush it's like every other day, you're just like win, progress, feel it, it's changing. Like, you notice everything. You're not going to be as inclined to go, oh, this isn't working, I'm going to quit. That's the thing. But the problem is most people only see what they hate or what's not working, so they sabotage everything. Think about it. If all you do is think about how much further you have left to go, or if all you do is think about the weight you have left to lose, or if all you do is think about the clothes that don't fit and you're forgetting about the clothes that are fitting, right? No wonder you sabotage. Actions always follow focus, and most of your day-to-day is unconscious. So when you are conscious, and to be honest, being completely negative and cynical and a victim, and go like, well, I still have 100 pounds left to lose. Well, yeah, I lost a couple inches, but I still have 14 inches to lose. That's ruining everything for you. Right? Imagine this. If you have a kid and your kid's not grateful for their toys, do you want to go buy them more toys? Of course not. If you brought your kid home a toy and said, here, little Billy, look, I got you a toy. And he goes, I wanted the red ones. And he threw them away. Would you go get him the red ones? Or would you be like, oh, well, that little negative fuck doesn't even appreciate that, so I'm not getting him anything else? It's the same thing. You have to understand this. Progress is like, I always compare progress to like a book. Imagine a 300-page book that's several inches thick. That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants the full finished book, but a full book is made up of 300 pages. But most people don't realize that every piece of progress is one page. Well, if you have a book and you move one page, you don't notice anything. But a book is made up of several hundred pages, right? You want the whole book, but you're disregarding every page. You're like, oh, it's only a quarter of an inch lost. Oh, it's only, I feel better. Oh, it's only like one less fat roll. Oh, it's only, I emotionally eat less, right? Whatever it is. But the problem is if you will disregard and totally ignore teeny tiny pieces of progress, you'll ignore massive pieces of progress because there's no such thing as drastic progress. Drastic progress is made up of micro pieces of progression, right? That's the only way it goes. So if you're going to disregard the quarter inch, you're not going to make it to 30 pounds lost. If you'll disregard a half pound down, you're going to disregard a transformation because you won't make it that far. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I call this Katie's story. Katie's a girl that, one of the girls that we work with. So I like to say this: what if I offered to give you $1,000 for every piece of progress you could tell me about? So this is Katie's story. Katie might be watching this. So it's one of my favorite stories around this. So one of my clients, Katie, she basically she's crushing it, kicking ass, taking names. She's doing so well with all of her stuff. And she sent me her weekly check-in, and like her progress pictures are showing so much progress, right? And I say something about it. I'm like, Katie, you're crushing it. You're doing so well. Your pictures are night and day different. And she goes, Jared, but like, I don't notice it. I can't see a difference. Can you point the differences out to me? And I go, absolutely. But the problem is it's not going to do anything if I point them out. So I want you to point them out, and then I'll tell you what I see. But like, she's like, but in that moment, she's like, but I don't see anything. And I go, so here's the difference though. I said, what if I offered to give you $1,000 for every piece of progress you could tell me? Well, that changed things. I didn't actually pay her $1,000, but I said, hypothetically, what if I offered to pay you $1,000 for anything you could tell me is different in your pictures? Well, out of nowhere, she found like 20 differences. No kidding. She literally found like 15 or 20 differences in the pictures. The 5 minutes prior, she didn't find any. But then I said, what if I offered $1,000 for every piece? Well, now her intention in which she looked for progress was different, right? It's not that there was any more progress, but she wasn't looking as intently. That's the problem. Most people unconsciously don't want to see progress because it goes against their old story of not worthy or not good enough or struggle bus. But it's also one of those things where most people just aren't looking hard enough. I always compare it to like if my wife, Shelby, she's amazing. She'll ask me like to go get her purse out of the car, and yeah, absolutely. I'll go out there and grab it, but I won't see it. I'm like, yeah, it's not in there. And she'll go out and it's in the front seat. And I'm like, where was that? And it's obvious. I'm a man. I don't look for things hard enough. Most people don't look for things hard enough, right? If I say, hey, gun to your head, do you see any progress? They're like, oh yeah, I'm sure I could come up with something. And I'm not talking about bullshitting. I'm talking about actual serious amounts of progress. But then the problem is most people are living a lie. It takes me saying gun to your head. You couldn't see progress? Oh no, I could if that was the case. Well, where was that 5 minutes ago? Or in Katie's story, I was like, where was that 5 minutes ago? I had to offer to pay you $1,000. Like, you see what I'm saying? Because this is what gets crazy after this part with Katie's story. It's not the fact that I said the thing about $1,000 and she found a bunch of pieces of progress. Ironically, that next week, she was blowing up my emails in a good way. I love it. And she said, she's like, Jared, oh my gosh, this shirt fits that never fit before. That's amazing. Next day, Jared, I see line definition in my arms and shoulders I've never seen before. This is crazy. And these kind of things. So here's my question to you, listener. Do you actually think that Katie all of a sudden got crazy amounts of progress the next week? Or do you think the progress was already there? It's just now in her awareness. Well, I can tell you right now, it's the latter. It's number two. It's not that, but like, this is what happened. It's not that she just, all this progress hit her. It's now that her brain is actually allowing her to see it because she highlighted and showed attention to all her wins. And now she journals about them every day. And now she sees all the progress because she retrained her brain. So what to do now? Okay. Because I don't want to just be philosophical with this stuff. I want to be tactical with this stuff. So what to do now? Because you're like, okay, Jared, I get it. I see what you're saying, but how do I do this? Okay, I'm glad you asked. Number one, I want you to intentionally choose what you're focusing on. It's in your control. There's a million things outside of your control, but one of the things that is absolutely in your control that you can double down on is intentionally choose what to focus on. You don't have to go back to the old story of, well, I used to be really thin, or I used to not struggle like this, or you know what, I wish I was just the size I was in high school and I thought I was fat. Stop. You are choosing to focus on the wrong things. So that's in your control. You can change that. Number two, count and celebrate your wins. All of them. Every single one. I don't care how small. Count them and celebrate them and actually feel grateful for them. Number three, keep connecting deeper with yourself because that'll make your awareness keep growing. Because this RAS stuff and this inner game stuff is a you to you issue, right? This is a self-connection issue. Well, the more you connect deeper to yourself, as corny as that sounds, the better this will get, all right? And number four, stop choosing to spend your mental bandwidth on negative lack that does not serve you. Okay? Stop choosing to spend your mental bandwidth on lack that doesn't serve you. It is, if you knew how powerful your thoughts were, you would never think a negative thought ever again. And I'm not saying we don't have things pop up, but I'm saying is you sitting and stewing on how much weight you have left to lose, or you throw in an adult hissy fit about how it's too late for you, so you might as well not even try, is so much negative bandwidth that is going to destroy progress, and you can control not spending your mental energy on that. Okay. So I'm gonna make this even easier. Here's that list I mentioned to you about. So to make it even easier, here's some examples of wins outside of the scale that most people overlook. Number one, they're down 1/4 of an inch. Most people go, it's just 1/4 of an inch. And I go, that's fucking progress. Okay. Let's say you went from 3 fat rolls to 2 fat rolls, like underneath like your shirt or your bra or your pants or whatever. Okay. Big deal. Let's say you normally would have binged and you didn't binge this time. Okay. Let's say you binged, but then you got back on track. That's progress. Let's say you normally would have eaten 5,000 calories, but like you noticed you were binging, so you stopped at about 2,000. That's progress. Let's say even though you don't see progress, other people are noticing progress, like your mailman or your hairdresser, your kids or whatever. Big deal. What else we have? I'm going to my notes. Let's say your clothes that were super crazy tight or just a little less crazy tight. That's progress. That means what we're doing is working. Okay. Let's say you stopped being so hard on yourself. That's a huge one. Let's say you feel more energy. That's a big one. Let's say you realize your mental patterns and triggers. That's a huge one. That is like all of that. But here's the truth. Most of you watching this would disregard every one of those things. And that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like around 10 things, 10 metrics of progress that most people would disregard because it's not like enough or big enough or whatever the case is. And that's the problem. You denying all of those pieces of progress is going to of course you're not going to notice anything else. Of course you're never going to make it. Of course you're sabotaging like crazy. Start doing what I said and showing attention to the small stuff and being aware that what your RES is aimed at and your life will never be the same. Okay. And that is today's talk. That is today's lesson on your RES and weight loss. So, sorry, my allergies are really bad right now. So I want to talk to you about the big announcement I have, because by the time this video comes out, this will be live and ready to go. So if you really like this talk if you were like, wow, that was really good, if that made a difference for you, but specifically if you like my deeper content, right? If you really like like when I'm talking about your inner psychology, the psychology of fat loss, your inner game, all the stuff that's not like diet culture, right? You're going to want to I'm telling you right now, you're going to love what my newest thing I'm doing is. So I actually pulled this talk in this module, if we want to call it that, out of my newest product. Okay. So I am so excited to talk about this. This is the first time me talking about it to the public. But like I said, I know this video is going to take like a little bit to drop after it gets edited and things like that. So I officially dropped something I've never dropped before. A lot of you guys have gone through my mini course, right? My little mini 3-part video course and loved it. A lot of you guys joined my mentorship group and love it. A lot of you guys love my deeper, more in-depth, meaningful content that's outside of calorie deficit. When we talk about the real granular issues around why you're not losing weight or why you can't be in a calorie deficit or why you keep sabotaging. Well, let me introduce you to what I call the 180 Academy. Okay. So I officially just launched my official big boy course. I wanted to come out with a academy model it's like a one-time thing. It's not like a reoccurring thing. It's not like a group. It is a self-study course that will 180 your entire life. Hence the name, the 180 Academy. It's what I call the foundation of where results begins. Because we talk about this all the time. Your problems have nothing to do with weight loss. Your problems have nothing to do with calories and strength training, right? Of course, those matter. But for most of you watching this, when it's like, let's say your relationships with food is terrible. Let's say you emotionally eat. Let's say you binge eat. Let's say you have this knowing doing gap where you know what to do, you just don't do it. Let's say you have no confidence. Let's say your mental health and fat loss aren't working well together. All right. The list goes on. Well, and that's why I love talking about it, because in this day and age with where everything is at, me giving you more calorie deficit and macro and workout content is not helping you. Because again, there's plenty of it out there, but no one talks about this stuff the right way, about this balance of your inner game, your mental health and your emotions as it ties to weight loss. Because just like we talked about in here, your RAS is just one example of why you're not losing weight, why you're sabotaging it. Like you might be doing good on your weight loss, then you ruin it. It's because of shit like this. Well, I developed an entire self-study academy that's going to 180 your entire life. And it's going to give you every tool you need. It's literally 20 modules deep. This is actually just one of them. I literally just took my notes out of the RAS module, and that's what I feel. That's what this whole video was on. So if you're like, holy shit, this makes a difference, or holy shit, this is the kind of stuff that I need, you're going to want to go through my 180 Academy. Okay. Like I said, it's not like a coaching program. It's not like another group. It is a self-study course that you can go through at your own pace. You can go review it. You can go through it as many times as you want. You're going to want to go through it several times. And it is literally a module in a training that has tactics like this on every single thing. So as you're watching this right now, especially if you're watching this relatively new, we're in the pre-launch stage. So which means it is discounted right now. Right. I'll have all the details at the link below, or I'll probably have a URL on here where you can go somewhere and like you can either go to the website and get it, or I'll have a link in the description below. But I'm telling you, I've never done anything like this. I've never dropped something like this. I have not been this excited about something I've dropped so much right now. And I'm telling you, it will 180 everything, because I actually had a hard time coming up with a name for it, because I was talking to a mentor of mine and he's like, what goes into it? And I go like, each module could be its own course. Each module could be its own entire thing. So I have a module on this, a module on this, a module on this, a module on like breaking free from binging, a module on how your RAS and fat loss, your module on mental health and fat loss, a module on how to fix your relationship with food, a module on how to stop binge eating. And I said, and I basically told him, I said, this is just 180 in everybody's life the right way, so they'll never struggle again. And I'm like, oh, there it is, 180. So it's the 180 Academy. We're going to 180 everything. Literally, I will give you every tool you need to 180 your entire life, 180 your relationship with food, 180 your relationship with yourself, 180 binge eating, 180 emotional eating, 180 literally everything you struggle with, 180 sabotage. Literally everything is taken care of. And I would say like I would just assume that like, what would you do if I said at the end of this, you will never struggle with anything ever again? Because that's what's at stake. So it's the 180 Academy. It's what I call where the foundation of results begins, because you have to do this foundational work. And if you like this kind of content, you will love it. And I will leave all the details at the link below. Let me know if you have any questions. I cannot wait for you to go through it, and I'll talk soon.